Let's talk about plant-based protein. It's my favorite topic. Just kidding, not true. It is a little bit annoying, but it does need to be covered for anybody who is new to plant-based way of eating or who is more concerned about their health, that of their children, seniors in their lives, or growing athletes that spend a lot of energy and maybe need more protein to build their muscles. We are going to talk about all that today, and you will have a lot more clarity at the end of this video, I promise. Buckle in, get a pen and paper. You might want to take some notes, and you're going to want to do some back of the envelope calculations along with me. Let's do it. First of all, how much protein do we actually need? There is a very simple formula you can use, and it is the following: 1 gram of protein per 1 kilogram of healthy body weight per day. That's for most adults. We're going to go back to children, seniors, and athletes a little bit later, but for now, that's all you need to remember. 1 gram of protein per 1 kilo of healthy body weight for adults. The key word here that many people kind of forget about is the part about the healthy body weight. Not everyone's current body weight is necessarily healthy. That is a conversation I suggest having with your doctor. It is not necessarily as narrow as people think, but there is definitely some variations there. If you already know your weight in pounds, you can just ask your favorite search engine for a conversion to get it in kilos, and that will make it a lot easier. So the big question here is, what is healthy body weight? We are just going to use BMI, body mass index for now. It is a very imperfect tool, but it is not completely trash. It is useful at giving us a rough ballpark of what we might be thinking about when we're trying to convert our healthy body weight into some nutritional intakes that we should be aiming for. BMI for a healthy person in theory is between 20 and 25. Actually, there's mention of 18.5 being the boundary between normal and underweight. However, there's a risk of bone fracture that seems to be greater for people with a BMI under, especially women, under 21, 22, something like that. So for today, I'm going to use healthy BMI as being between 20 and 25. Again, it is imperfect, but we are just doing a back of the envelope calculation. Let's imagine an average woman called Sadie. She measures 5'6", which is 168 centimeters. And if we take the BMI chart, it shows that her healthy body weight will be between 124 and 155 pounds. Make that kilos, that is 56 to 70 kilos roughly. That is a 14 kilogram range. It is quite substantial. So using the formula of 1 gram of protein per kilogram of healthy body weight, that would mean that Sadie has a protein target between 56 and 70 grams of protein per day. That's a pretty big difference. And from there, I think we need to realize that though it seems very scientific and authoritative, that formula that we've been using is just a rough estimate and it's quite fuzzy on the edges. So let's not get too twisted about it. I'll say in a parenthesis that some people are worried about the absorption of plant-based protein as opposed to animal-sourced protein. Let's backtrack and remember that the actual official target that comes from governments is more like 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of healthy body weight. So when we're using 1 for our back of the envelope calculations, we're already adding quite a bit of padding, and we don't need to worry too much about lesser absorption of plant-based protein, even if that is a thing, which honestly, I'm not totally sure about. Now, if you're eating a plant-based vegan diet, where should you get that protein? The key is simply to eat enough calories to meet your energy needs with a focus on quality, nutrient-dense foods. not just white breads and store bought chocolate chip cookies. You don't believe me? Let's run the numbers through Chronometer to have a good idea of what that might look like in practice. But first, let's go back to how many calories do we need approximately. If you eat a whole foods, plant based diet only with minimal to no oil, you certainly don't need to worry about counting calories. Your body is going to tell you when you're full and when you're hungry, when it's time to eat again. Unfortunately, many people are in the mindset of dieting and restricting calories. And when they start eating a whole foods plant based diet, they have still that habit of restricting the calories and they are not eating enough. They're not following their hunger and their inner signals about whether or not it's time to eat and how much. So they might encounter deficiencies because they're not eating enough. So we have to remember to eat enough foods, again, focusing on quality foods. Let's go back to Sadie, our 5'6" woman. Assuming that she exercises a healthy amount, 4 to 5 times moderate exercise, she lives a bit of a healthy lifestyle, she walks her kids to school, she moves, she lifts a little bit of weights, and she needs approximately 2,000 calories per day. Again, the science behind that is somewhat fuzzy, but we're still in the back of the envelope calculation here. Let's assume Sadie weighs or should weigh a healthy 140 pounds. That's approximately 63 kilograms. So, according to the formula, she should need roughly 63 grams of protein per day. Sadie is on a whole foods plant based diet. What should she eat? Well, let me tell you, Sadie really loves onions. I do too, but not as much as Sadie because she only eats onions. And to meet her 2,000 calorie target for her energy needs every day, she needs to eat 22 cups of cooked onions. Don't do that. I'm just being absurd here to show you how easy it is to actually meet our protein needs. So if Sadie is eating 22 cups of cooked onions per day, how much protein is she getting? She's getting 62.8 grams of protein every day, including practically all of her essential amino acids at target and beyond. Plenty of calcium also, but it's a little bit low on iron if she is still having regular periods, though that would be enough for a man who also would love onions dearly. Again, don't do that at home. Don't try to eat that many onions. That is also busting the target for fiber, and you're going to be spending a lot of time in the bathroom probably. So don't try it at home. However, you can see that even a modest vegetable like onion can have plenty of protein as long as you're eating enough of it. Now, nobody wants to eat that much onion, so let's imagine that she has a different kind of restrictive diet and she eats only brown rice. She would need 8 cups of brown rice every day to get to about 2,000 calories. Unfortunately, that would bring only 44.3 grams of protein. Though she would be hitting almost all of her targets for essential amino acids, it would be a little bit low on iron and too low on calcium. So do not eat only rice. If you eat only white rice, it would be even harder because you would need to eat more rice to meet your daily calorie needs and you would still get less protein. This may seem unnecessary to think about. Unfortunately, there are many people on the planet that depend on a diet of very monotonous grains like rice. And that is how, indeed, protein deficiency is possible on a plant based diet if you're not eating a sufficient diversity of foods. Let's shift things around a bit. Let's give Sadie some black beans instead. I don't know anybody who can eat 8 cups of black beans every day, but let's imagine that would bring 1,926 calories. So, again, meeting the energy needs and a whooping 113.2 grams of protein. That is huge. All the essential amino acids are included, all the iron, all the calcium, and lots of other nutrients. So, you can see here that as soon as you bring in the legumes, they are powerhouses of nutrients, including, as we've just said, all the protein one might need and far more. Poor Sadie needs a break. We're going to give her a much healthier and more diverse diet. However, still not a normal diet by any stretch of the imagination in the average North American families. Let's feed Sadie a diet of potatoes, black beans, broccoli, and pumpkin seeds. To get 2,000 calories, she would need to eat 7 cups of potatoes cooked, 1.5 cup of black beans, which also happens to meet the target for legumes set by the Daily Dozen by Dr. Michael Greger. Add to that 3 cups of broccoli, which is a cruciferous vegetable, dark green, very nutritious. So bring that in, and a modest 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds that will cover some of the other smaller nutritional needs. You're getting 2,000 calories, 66.5 grams of protein, and also plenty of iron, even I think a little bit too much at 41.1 milligram, and plenty of calcium. This, by the way, is a topic for another day. I'll go into that in greater detail in another video. But the North American targets of 1,000 or even more milligrams of calcium per day are, in my opinion, quite inflated compared to those from around the world. And at 750 milligram per day of calcium, roughly, Sadie would be quite fine. Thank you very much. So the bottom line here is eat lots of different plant foods with an emphasis on legumes, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and you're going to get plenty of protein. Because this is the Vegan Family Kitchen, I want to talk about the other people that may be sitting at your dinner table other than just average adults like Sadie. What about athletes? Athletes work hard physically and they need to eat more to meet their energy requirements. They're very hungry. So, if they're focused on quality foods, including lots of vegetables, legumes, nuts, and seeds, they're going to get plenty of protein as well. Even if you use the target of 1.3, 1.4, even 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of healthy body weight for those athletes, since they're eating 30, 40, 50% more calories to meet their energy requirements, they're going to be just fine. What about seniors? You may have heard that seniors, people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, need more protein. And I don't exactly disagree, but I think it's a mental shortcut that we've taken instead of focusing on what really matters, which is emphasizing quality foods. Often, as they age, people decrease their amount of physical activity, which often also means that they're less hungry, their metabolisms slow down, and they don't eat as much. That means that they have fewer calories available to meet their protein needs. I don't want to argue here, but I think when we just focus on having more wholesome foods like more beans, more legumes, more nuts and seeds, and possibly less of the grains category, we are going to hit those targets a lot more easily. So as we age, let's keep the focus on wholesome quality foods. And that is, in my opinion, more important and less stressful than trying to calculate how much protein exactly people are getting. What about children? Children's bodies are still under construction. And when we think of the formula and the healthy body weight part, we have to think about their healthy body weight in the future, because that is what they are building towards. Infants, in particular, grow at an absolutely gangbuster rate, and their body is doubling over a really short period of time. So they need as much as twice as much protein as an adult would need per kilo of body weight. For infants under 6 months, anyway, breast milk or infant appropriate formula is perfectly fine and will suit their needs. As they grow into toddlers and then children and teenagers, their protein need per body weight will decrease progressively until they get pretty much on par with adults. So again, let's just focus on quality foods. Let's make sure that those kiddos are getting plenty of beans, plenty of vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains, whole grains in particular, and they're going to be fine, as well as fruit, of course, which are amazing, but don't really have protein, but they have lots of other nutrients. So that's important as well. If you want to learn more about the details here and check out the references, I suggest you go on my website, veganfamilykitchen.com, and there is a whole article about protein with all the details that you may have missed. But really, what are the takeaways here? You can use a formula of 1 gram of protein per kilogram of healthy body weight if that feels helpful to you. However, you have to remember that it's a fuzzy formula, and if anybody is trying to convince you that there's a very precise number that you need to hit with no margin of error, I think you need to take that with a grain of salt. I am personally a lot more concerned about the number of people that are eating too much protein, and that's taking a toll on their kidneys. What's to remember here as a meal planner, as somebody who cooks for your loved ones and for yourselves? You have to remember that eating a diverse diet that includes plenty of legumes, vegetables, nuts and seeds, with also whole grains and some fruit, will bring in all the nutrients you need, including all the protein and all the essential amino acids. You better spend your time worrying about more important things like where you get your fiber and how are you going to fit in all the cruciferous and dark green vegetables you need in your diet. Those are important questions that deserve your attention. Protein, if you're eating a diverse diet of wholesome plant foods, you don't need to worry about it. However, you do need to remember to eat enough. So meet your energy needs every day and everything is going to be tickety-boo. Again, I encourage you to visit my website, veganfamilykitchen.com, and read the whole article about protein. That may be helpful. If you have further questions, you can always contact me if you want to ask for more. And I look forward to meeting you again here in the Vegan Family Kitchen. I recommend you like this video and subscribe to the channel so that we can keep in touch. I hope that was helpful.